Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Versus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. And remember, click subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Jelena Moore boards the mothership. She stars on the arc on Syfy. Come on board as we will traversing the stars. Hello, Miss Moore. Thank you so much for coming to Versus Stars podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's totally my pleasure. So I always start with the question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for acting and who are your earliest influences?
Okay, so I come from a very small town in Serbia, and I was always like looking those Western movies. I was always impressed by Western cinema, and I would say my biggest influence was Kate Blanchett. That's like my all-time favorite, my OG.
Good choice. Good
So,
choice.
yes, yes. And yeah, like I was probably 7 or 8 when I actually like realized that I want to do acting. But of course, further on, when I kind of got an idea of who I am and kind of learned how to articulate my desires. And then I studied acting for 4 years at the Academy of Arts in Belgrade. And then afterwards, I pursued my MFA degree here in LA, in California. I studied for 1 year at CalArts. So yeah, and then from then I was acting professionally for the last 6 years.
So, is there a Kate Blanchett role that you think is the absolute epitome of what makes a great actor?
Yeah, I love her so much, and I think yeah, like for me that's like the ultimate, like that's as good as it gets.
Oh,
Yeah.
I totally agree. So, as you said, you worked, you had your first training in Belgrade, then you went to Los Angeles. So,
Yes.
what motivated the move from Serbia to the States?
Well, I kind of always dreamt about LA and New York, but like I was introduced to New York first, but then once I came to LA, I was like, I'm staying here. So yeah, I mean, and the school, I was very interested in like because CalArts is a very specific school. It's a like multidisciplinary, so you can learn a lot about acting and a lot about producing and a lot about film industry in general. So yeah, the type of school and their program was what motivated me. And then once I got accepted, I was very happy to actually do it.
So, does that mean that you're planning to being a producer one day as well?
I would love to. I have some aspirations. I think I still need more time and more cooking, but yeah, I would like to one day produce my own things. Yeah.
Now, when you're thinking about acting in Serbia and acting in the States, or is the approach to acting different in these two areas, or is acting basically acting regardless where you're from?
Yeah, I would like to say that acting is acting, but also there's something very like interesting about mentality in Serbia and here, which is like completely opposite, and approach is different. Therefore, basically, yesterday I came across this very interesting quote of like English being a very specific language,
Mm.
which is like a combination of German and Latinic at the same time. It can sound rough and sophisticated at the same time. And me as a Serb, who, my English is my second language, I find myself creating all those new characters who speak English and actually like developing a completely new layer to my personality that I
Mm.
could not find out if I was only acting in Serbian. So I would say it's very beneficial to try everything. And I would say acting is acting, but of course with a little nuances of like what each language and like
Mm.
mentality brings.
So, so the language is Serbian. I didn't know the name of the language of Serbia. It's called Serbian.
Yes, yes, it's Serbian.
So, when you're learning new lines for let's say for the arc, just because obviously we all know you from the arc,
Yeah.
do you translate it into Serbian first to learn the language or understand it, or do you do it direct right straight through English?
No, I actually I started thinking in English maybe like 10 years ago. My mind is like completely shifted now, and my husband being American, like I express my emotions and I live my life in English. So yeah, I would say yeah, English is my mind's first language.
so
Yeah.
so does understanding the language as a second, or learning it as an older as an adult, does that change how you think about the language and how you think about the words and how you kind of like study it?
Yeah, I mean, I started learning English like when I was 5 years old. And through all of these years, like I was like learning and learning and learning. But once I actually used it, like in my real life, then it like completely changed the whole perspective of a language. And I like to call English an active language. You know, it's all verbs, verbs, verbs. And you know, we do not speak like that in Serbia. We do not use the same phrases. And I find that beautiful, and I find that challenging, but at the same time like developmental. Like I develop multiple layers of myself while learning a new language and
Yeah,
using it.
that is absolutely fascinating. I never thought about because I speak English and only English. I mean, I tried learning Spanish a little while ago, but never quite was able to pull that off. But I never thought about it as you said, like an active language. It's amazing that perspective that you have on it, having learned it, versus me who's just lived it and just kind of assumes it.
Yes, yes, yes.
That is absolutely awesome. I never thought about that. It's fantastic.
Well, I brought you a new perspective to it now that you
I,
can think about.
I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I read that you follow Ivana, is it Chubbuck's
Yes.
approach to acting called The Power of the Actor. So can you kind of discuss that a little bit?
Oh yeah, I mean that's like a very, very dramatic topic. It's we can go in depth, but I assume we do not have that much time. But I like her approach because it teaches you how to win as an actor, and it personalizes your character's life. So you find the resemblance in your own experience,
Mm.
of your character. So I find that very immaculate, very like specific, very analytical. And that's the only, I'm very cognitive as an actor, and I like to understand, and I do not let anything to improvisation, which, I'm spontaneous as a table, as I like. So yeah, I like the cognitive side of it, and I like the depth and just the way that you can. It's a never-ending process of analyzing your character's path and finding a way for your character to win.
So, sorry, I'm fascinated by this. I'm going to jump into it, just dive in just a little bit of it. So, when you say character to win, what do you mean exactly?
Well, in any situation that's presented to your character, your goal is for your character to win. You don't want to make a victim out of your character. Same as in life, you really want to, go through the obstacles. You want to try to achieve the goal that you have. And that's very beneficial perspective for acting, because we know that all the characters have obstacles. Every character has a goal, blah, blah, blah. That's like we're coming to like the basics. But in this case, you really want to push through, and you really want to find a way that you thought through before starting. You want to find a way of how your character will go through and win at the end.
So
you want that as an end result.
So just to dive into a little bit more, because like I said, I do find this so fascinating. So when you're thinking about it, how you approach the character, a new character, right, with this approach to acting, you said personalize it. So what are you doing? So what's your first step? Are you thinking about how that relates to you? Or are you doing just how you actually, with the character? How does that first step work?
Okay, so for example, let's take Arc as an example.
Okay.
I got to play Stella Cogner, who is on this massive ship traveling into the future. So I never experienced that, obviously. I don't know how that works. I've never been to space, So all I have left is to try to understand what is the feeling of that situation and try to find a resemblance of that feeling in my own life. So, for example, I can call it traveling into unknown. How does it make me feel? What in my life is the resemblance of going into an unknown area? How can I personalize that situation to something that is like very well known to me? So that's when I say find a resemblance or personalize the situation, you go like dive deep and try to like, I would say, calculate what would make you feel that way in your own life.
Oh, that's awesome. So how does that, why does that speak better to you than another type of acting, another school of acting would?
Yeah, I would say Ivana Chabak really has accumulated all the like basic acting teachings over the past 100 years and like just articulated it a little bit better, like packaged it a little bit better, because if you go through the book you'll have like 12 steps, and the last step is one of the most important steps, which nobody else mentions, and it's the step of letting go, of detaching. So what I like to do is, like, as I said, I'm very cognitive. I write everything down, and and then once I'm done with that, I like to throw my books away, even like from the bridge or off of the bridge or like in the trash or whatever, and then just believe, have faith that my work is done and that what I did is inside of me, and now I can be spontaneous.
Oh, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think it's fascinating. So, as you mentioned, you're now playing Stella Cogner on the arc on Syfy, which got a second season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, how do you get involved with the project?
Yeah, I got a call from my agent to audition for this Syfy project. I didn't know much about it when we were auditioning, and yeah, I got a role of Stella Cogner. It was a couple of rounds of auditions. Yeah.
So what interested you in the arc and the character?
Yeah, so first of all, this is my first international project. So that's probably my top one reason.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Secondly, just the whole sci-fi genre and the whole sci-fi culture that I'm very like, I like to watch those shows. And I was very excited to be a part of a show and part of the making and to see how it's all, said and done. And of course, that was like my two biggest reasons why I accepted the role. And yeah, and Stella is like, she kind of develops throughout the season. You can see her more by the end, like from 8th episode. She's like, I find her very funny. I find her very like comedy material. And I think that she's at the point where she has nothing to lose. She's going to the unknown, and she's just gonna let go of everything and be who she really is.
Well, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of interviewing Ryan Adams from the arc as well, and he told me that some of the actors were told secrets about their characters that is still not revealed yet. So was something told to you about your character that we don't know about Stella yet that you know about?
Well, not that I know of. Okay. So I also have to see. It's a secret to me as well.
So okay, so there's nothing. So what kind of background did they give you on Stella to help you get a handle on the character?
Yeah, so basically, when I had a conversation with Dean Devlin prior to shooting, we were talking that the most important thing for my character is her fear. Is like everything that she's leaving behind, her family, her partner. She's going alone on this mission to save mankind. And, we really do not realize how big of a deal all of that is. And, this being a blue sky TV show with a lot of like comedy in it, but still having that like very heavy topic of like Earth disappearing, and going to find a new planet. It holds the drama in its source. So it was very beneficial. That conversation was very beneficial to never forget like her reason why, like she has a bigger reason why she's going on this trip. And, because whoever gets there first, they can bring their families.
Right.
So, yeah.
So for those who might not have seen the arc yet, and if you haven't, you should, for our listeners, the people who are in charge all die before the first episode happens. They lose it all, and now the kind of like the newbies, as it were. The young people are now in charge of the entire arc one. So, in your opinion, how ready is Stella to have been or to show that kind of responsibility of being one of the people who are going to be in charge?
Yeah, I think none of us were ready. And I think that's the beauty of it because this is very philosophical what I'm about to say.
Go for
But
it.
like, you're never ready, you know? You're
Yeah.
never ready to do something and you'll never be ready. So that's kind of a very, very strong part of this show, that all of these young people need to take over the commands when they themselves don't know how to do that. So
Yeah.
we're learning as we go and we grow as we go. So Stella was not ready for that.
I think one of the great things about the arc, I don't know if you ever seen Star Trek, or or familiar with Star Trek. Star Trek had that sense, especially the original, of this diverse cast from all over Earth. Chekhov the Russian, Kirk and all, Sulu, all them from different areas. The arc has a group from all over the world, all over Earth.
Yeah.
So it's like an international show, like you said.
Yeah,
So
it really is.
so how does that, from like an acting standpoint, enhance the experience, knowing that you're one of this group of international actors from all over the globe who have done this show?
It was amazing. And especially seeing other actors not only act on set, but behave on set,
Mm.
which is like, I think international crews really bring this new kind of ethic to the set that you're not able to see anywhere else. So you'll kind of steal what you like from everyone.
Mm.
And, you make an atmosphere that's like very creative. You see other people's perspectives, you get to know other people better. And yeah, it's very beneficial. It's very like one of the best experiences in my career so far.
And is there, because there's, like I said, from so many different places, is there a wide range of acting styles from all these different actors? And how do you navigate working with actors of so many different kind of backgrounds and experience and education in acting?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and it's a very interesting topic. And I think that all of us have our own ways, our own methods. And what's most important is to like have that feeling of a cohort, have a
Mm.
feeling of a group, and try to listen to each other. Try to like see, once a couple of weeks are passed, how that actor breathes, because
Mm.
it's your job to listen to your partner and to like see what works for them, because you just don't want to think only about your stuff.
Mm.
So yeah.
And I think it's really cool too is that the arc, with all these characters, I said international group of characters, they actually did choose international actors. They didn't have a bunch of characters from the States and just have them like try to learn an accent. Like, you're gonna be the Russian, you're gonna be Serbia, you're gonna be this guy.
Yeah.
They actually hired from around the world, and I think that's fantastic. And I don't know, I think that's one of the best aspects of that entire show is that they did do that.
Yes, the diversity of the show is like very strong.
Like I said, I think that it's wicked cool. And so just going about your character, Stella. So in the episode In
Mhm.
Hoping for Forever, Stella tells Garnett that she slept with the character Bryce. Is this a relationship that you think will be explored in future seasons?
Well, I guess that's what everybody wants to know, but I'm not gonna give any spoilers. So I don't know. It's a funny perspective. It can be.
So, in your opinion, when you're thinking about that moment, why do you think Stella felt the need to share that information with Garnett?
Oh, because Stella, she's done. She like needs to be more in charge. She needs more space. She needs to be in control of something. So she kind of wanted to get closer to Garnett to try to like buy her with her, charm or whatever she thinks that is. But Garnett was not having it. So yeah, that's my favorite scene. I think it's very funny.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, because I'm sure you're not biased at all, in this decision, do you think Stella or Ava is a better match for Bryce?
I think anybody's a good match for Bryce. He does not pick and choose.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, when we get to season 2, we're gonna have Stella and Bryce together?
Stella and Bryce or Stella and Ava? Oh, sorry, Bryce and Ava. Oops.
That'd be an interesting story as well, I'm sure.
Or maybe like a triangle.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah.
When you were discussing that, was it, in your opinion, or when the writers or director spoke to you about that scene, is it, you think it's implied that Stella, that was a fling, or was this an actual relationship they had?
I think just Stella at this point, I mean, at that point of the show, she does not really care. She had her standards very set high. She was not like buying trusts, stories and whatever. She was very like, um, com- she was confronting everyone, and she was not compromising for what she wants. But at this point, she was letting it go, being as animalistic as she could,
Yeah.
having her primal needs come up to the surface. So yeah, I think that's the reason she was, speaking about it. That's the reason she was behaving. She was behaving.
So in the same episode, Stella has to convince Evelyn. She's giving her spider DNA when she's not. So when Stella's character, do you think made her the ideal one to make that deal with Evelyn? What did they see in her that thought, yeah, she can bullshit her way through this deal?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they all saw Stella as this very brave, I'm not buying your, I'm not gonna curse, I'm not buying your stories. I'm gonna like do my own thing. And they saw the potential in Stella to like do the whole deal with Evelyn Maddox. And what's very interesting to me about the whole like script is that we see Stella on arc 1 as someone who is like, she's like brave, she doesn't care, she's gonna say what she thinks, whatever. And then she goes to Evelyn Maddox, and she's like, her voice is, she's mumbling, she's like, we can see the fear through her eyes. She's not as brave as we think. And then when she goes back, they're like, is it all good? I was like, yeah, like I did it. So that like, double game was very, very well written for my character.
So in your opinion, how does that moment grow her as a character?
The moment of meeting with Evelyn.
Yes.
Well, she realizes that it's not all just a game. This is like, that's the moment when she goes back to the beginning and says like, whoa, this is a big deal. This is not, she lets go in the middle. She forgets, everybody lets go, they forget like the size of this huge mission that they're on. They forgot like the significance of it. And then, a reality check of Evelyn Maddox, brings her down, and she stops and she's like, whoa, from now on, I'm taking this seriously.
So, okay, let's pretend for a moment that you're one of the writers of the arc series. So we're gonna pretend for a moment. So,
Okay.
And we know, once again, there's season 2 coming. I think it's filming in a couple of months. I think it was like July or something like that. Well, first off, before we even get that far, we, based on the last episode of season 1, did Stella survive, you think?
She did.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about season 2 before I jump into my next question?
I'm not allowed to say anything, as of right now. So.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, no one's listening. You can shit.
Yeah.
So if you're the writer of the arc season 2, which aspects of Stella do you hope are developed? Or which aspects of Stella would you develop her or like to see her go in season 2? If you were the writer.
If I was the writer, I would just emphasize her sassy persona. I would emphasize her getting in trouble, teaching everyone, patronizing, like she did to Alicia. And, I think she's a very, very, very comedic character. And she brings a new like perspective to the comedy that also Angus and Alicia bring, but Stella is, I would say, like a different, more mature layer of comedy that is like, bringing all off topics like, Bryce, she likes gossiping. She wants to, be a little mean girl. So, yeah.
So, well, once again, the arc once again was very has a growing audience, a strong growing audience. What has the experience been like with the fandom with you?
Yeah, honestly, the problem was that I was in Serbia while ARC was airing here in the States,
Yeah.
and now that I'm in the States, ARC is airing in Serbia. So I'm not around to hear enough, how is it going. But from other people from the cast, I hear here and there, or from my agent, or I can tell that people are very prone to watching it. They get very excited, and I really think this is a true and true television show. Especially like for a Wednesday night. You can just chill with your family, watch it, and I think from people who watched it who are close to me, everybody's comment was like, "Oh my God, I want to know what's happening next." So I think there's a strong fan base around this show.
So, what is next for you? Is this season 2? Is there other projects you're working on as well? What's in your future?
Yeah, so there's this movie that I did after I was filming Arc. It's called Sybil. It's produced by Catalyst Studios, and it's going to be for one of the streaming platforms coming out next year. It's a horror thriller, very interesting plot, very interesting story. And I play a role of a young mom whose babies get stolen. I was doing my domestic show in Serbia, where I play the lead. It's called The Singer. In 2020, I filmed season 1, and I just finished filming season 2, which is coming out in the winter. It's horror again. I found myself a type. So yeah, it's horror. It's very dramatic. It's very interesting. A lot of like jump scares. Also, because it's called The Singer, obviously I play the singer, and there's a lot of music. There's a lot of songs. Every season I get like a couple of new songs, which is very interesting.
Very cool.
And I really get a plethora of like places to go and explore as an actor. So I really enjoy filming that project, and I really like a big open space where I can really express myself and find ways to do the best I can. I also did a melodramatic TV show in Serbia as well. It's called The Alphabet of Our Lives. It's a very like sweet fairy tale romantic show, and I play the babysitter there. And the cast and the crew is amazing. I really had so much fun doing it, and that's something new that I never got to play my true age problems. So I was kind of appreciative of that. So yeah, and from now on, I'm just currently here in LA. I have a couple of projects coming up that I'm going to be doing here in the States, but of course, I'm not allowed to talk much. But yeah, I mean, it's going pretty well for me.
So let's go back a little bit to that film that you talked about that's being streamed. Do you know which streaming network is going to be on?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to say the details before like the official
Gotcha.
announcement. Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be on a big streaming platform.
So when you're ready to talk about it, can you come back on?
Of course, anytime.
Fantastic. Ms. Moore, it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you so much.